What's up, Gimme Nation? All my gimmies. I'm here with the Gimme Gang. This is Grant Stemler, your host of the Gimme That podcast. Welcome to episode 5, everybody. I'm sitting here with Dr. Gimme.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, I should say.
I'm here with Gimme Gainey.
Yo.
And Gimme Muscles.
I love my gimmies.
We're going to start off this podcast with a little bit of words of affirmation, just to set the tone for how we're feeling today. Dr. Gimme.
Tell me.
I got to say, you just have a certain glow about your skin on this day more than others that really just speaks to the mantra of the energy you're spreading right now. And it's all positive vibes.
Wow.
It's good vibes only.
I appreciate that, Grant. I'm going to tell you something. I needed that this afternoon. Mr. Gimme Muscles.
Talk to me.
I think I've told you this before, but I need to reiterate this because I haven't told you in a while. Your triceps are phenomenal. Wow. They legit are the biggest, in proportion, the biggest triceps I've ever seen.
Can we get a little flex?
Gimme flex.
Only for the gimmies.
Oh! Whoa! Wow! You guys better watch the video on that one.
Gimme Gainey.
Yes.
I gotta be upfront with you.
I love that.
Your hair, some of the best I've ever seen.
Wow. Better than my long hair?
I mean, no, I'm just saying your hair in general. You can coif it, you can grow it.
Coif?
You can slick it back. You rock any hairstyle that you wear.
Wow. That means a lot. Thank you.
Especially with the beard now, too.
Yeah, your beard is phenomenal.
It's a new thing.
Looks really good.
Thank you. Gimme Grant.
Yes, sir.
It's something that has stuck with you for years. And I have to just always...
I know you're going to say.
Your neck. It's the neck. It's just beautiful. I mean, there was only one person that rivaled that neck, but I think you have topped that.
Am I giving you land before time vibes?
Yeah, we call you Littlefoot around here.
Littlefoot. Hey. It's just very long and it's just beautiful.
I got to say, the lo-fi beats just underneath all these compliments really, really added to just the fellowship of this moment.
We're having fun.
This is fun.
All right, all my gimmies. Again, welcome to episode 5 of the Gimme That podcast. We have in the studio the original 4 gimmies.
Thank God.
We are back together. There wasn't a breakup. It was just a little scheduling issues over the weeks, but man, am I happy to see these faces.
Oh, yeah. Love that.
We have awaited the long return of Dr. Hota Hota.
Dr. Gimme.
Dr. Gimme. He is back on the pod. It's been since episode 1.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time. He's been busy. He's been busy with boards, his exams. He's been busy saving lives, right?
I tell you something. It gets busy over there in Miami, and I missed you guys.
I'm glad to be back. We missed you.
What have you missed most about the podcast? Have you been listening?
I have been listening. The thing I miss the most is the follow-up questions that I wish I could ask you guys. I know that we are friends outside of this podcast, so I could ask you outside of the podcast, but I mean, where's the fun in that?
Yeah, get in the pod.
Let's get into it.
Let's hear the follow-up questions.
I listened to the past 2 episodes, and I loved it. I laughed. I cried. I did not cry.
It's okay to cry.
I smiled. Aww. But I had some questions for you guys. The first one I have is this is where I laughed the most.
Is this for everyone, or is it just for...
This one is for Mr. Johnny Muscles.
Okay.
Johnny, you told our gimmies that you cannot count enough times that women have told you that you smell like their dad. And I wanted, like, that's just not a normal thing.
It's not.
So my question, because obviously we established, this is a compliment. My question is, what is your first response to a gimme girl that says that you smell like her dad?
Or a gimme boy.
Yeah, great question. I think initially, not again, but then I see it as a compliment, because most often, like, your dad is your hero, and so I see that as an opportunity to really kind of steward a role that they're not asking for, but
So, like, I guess my question is, do you explain this to them? Like, do you say, first of all, thank you.
Thank you so much.
In honor.
Believe it or not,
Let me elaborate.
this isn't the first time that this has been told to me. You're not unique in telling me this, but at the same time, thank you. Thank you so much.
And Johnny Jones, to that whole segment, I'm curious to know, bar of soap or body wash?
Okay. That was a great segment because I had to look introspectively. I side with Grant. I am a body wash guy.
Really?
I'm a loofah guy. And it's something to, like, the slidiness of the bar when I don't know if when you use the bar, if you just, like, bar your whole body or if you get it on your hands.
No, I bar my whole body.
I mean,
So are you saying you won't ever use a bar of soap?
I will use a bar of
It's not the
soap.
preference.
But like Grant was saying, if I get to a hotel and it's a bar of soap
Do you
versus
complain then?
liquid
Come on,
soap,
man.
I'm like, all right. I mean, this.
You just know there's going to be soap under your fingernails, like
Yes,
like,
that's pretty annoying.
just sticking under there the whole time.
Okay, trim your nails.
yeah.
Also, how are you grabbing soap?
Yeah, are you just like diving straight in with your fingers? That's
just
a great point.
claw.
Yeah. I guess that's one way to make sure it doesn't slip out of your hands.
No, it is during the slip motion that you do anything so that because the worst is picking it up on the shower floor because then it's hard to scoop it. Sometimes there's like a suction effect. Anyway, we don't need to unpack all that, but I'm glad to know you're on.
I
the
think
good
I'm
side.
team body wash.
Heyo.
Now, my next question is for Mr. Gimme Gainy Drone Dude. I don't want to come from a place of judgment because I have not seen any of what I'm about to say.
I'm scared.
But why is Star Wars so good?
Honestly, we don't have enough time on this podcast for me to go into that. There's plenty of gimmies out there that will back me up. But just overall, Star Wars universe is phenomenal film. Phenomenal. And
So-
everything about it is just, it was way before its time.
Like, is it worth watching every single movie? Even the ones that
100%.
are, like, super, super old?
100%. You have to understand the whole story, you know?
It's true.
Though
And-
I haven't been to Star Wars World. I'm not a Disney person,
Okay.
but I want to go to Star Wars World. So
Would
that's
you watch them in order?
Yeah,
Would
would you recommend going 1 through 6? Well,
Well,
and I'm talking about the original.
yeah, you got to go
6,
4, 5, 6,
and then 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9.
So
Very weird, but that's the way
watch
you do
them in the way that they were released.
No.
Don't
No, no,
watch
no,
them
no.
in linear.
No. The way they were released were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
No.
Oh.
He's saying like from original release date. The first one was 4.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like episode 4.
Right. Okay, yes. Okay,
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
But anyway, I love Star Wars. Don't at me.
I've never seen it.
Have
I've
you
never
given
had a
you
desire.
haven't given it a chance though, have you?
I've never
Are
given
you
it
are you like
chance.
are you a sci-fi guy though?
No, I kind
And-
of am, but
And it's
Anytime-
a little cheesy too, but you have to like embrace it.
anytime I try to put on like something that resembles sci-fi in our apartment with my wife Gabby is very much not sci-fi. And so I think if I suggested Star Wars, I would just need a reason of like, why is it so good? And if I were able
hard
to
to say
convince her,
why, because it's just everything it encompasses is just fantastic.
is it like, no pun
Storyline
intended,
is
but
great.
light years better than like Star Trek?
Love that pun.
That was good. I don't like Star
intend
Trek.
that pun next time.
Please intend it.
I'm not a Star Trek guy.
Hey, wait, hot
So-
take. Just thinking about this. Is Jimmy Neutron sci-fi?
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Gabs like Jimmy Neutron?
I've never watched Jimmy Neutron with her, but I think she
I know what
likes
you're
it.
doing
She
tonight.
really.
Next date night? Oh, baby.
Jimmy Neutron.
Guess what we're watching?
Boy genius.
She does love. I think it was Sheen.
Yeah.
Is in Jimmy Neutron.
I'll try Lord.
That was a spot on sheen. Wow. Who taught you that?
He's been practicing all morning.
I've been waiting for this hot take.
So my next question is for Sensei Stemler. It doesn't have to do with karate.
Okay.
Oh.
This might be a little bit of a longer conversation. So on the pod you guys discussed Disney adults, and if it's an annual thing, maybe that's fine. When it gets to like a weekly, monthly, it's like, come on, like pull it together.
Right.
So I decided to do like some introspection in my life. I was like, is there anything in my life that like is my Disney? I was like, you know what? There is a time in my life where I wake up on a weekly basis. I put on a jersey and a hat. I watch the same thing. It's kind of the same thing. And I love it, but that is Gator football. So my question is there any comparability between, because the reason I bring this up is because obviously Grant and I are very big sports fanatics, Gator football junkies.
Go sports.
Not as much for our counterparts over here, Johnny Muscles and
Johnny
and
Muscles
Big
was high school football star.
Yeah, but I left it on the field.
Eddie. So my question is that our Disney?
I see where you're going with this, and I think you could compare us to Disney adults by just pure ritual, and we each have our rituals. However, I do think that what we follow and pull out all the stops for, I don't think that was really intended for a certain age group. So I feel like it's, any age is appropriate to kind of just be in our football and just commit. However, I feel like Disney, I have to say, is definitely geared towards children. Yes, it is inclusive of adults. They do a great job of being able to appeal to both children and adults. But you can't tell me that Walt Disney was like, all right, I've created something that I want. We have a paid ad for Domino's, and we just clarifying we're not sponsored by Domino's.
But if they want to sponsor us,
Hold on, they just
Is it a 15-second ad?
no, it's we're good. Back to the lo-fi beats. As I was saying, I don't think Walt Disney was like, let me think of this world and intend it for 35-year-olds and up, So I think there was a clear golden, age group that he was going for. So the difference between us as sports fanatics and Disney people is that I think the Disney fanatics that are kind of, in that late 20s and up, they have kind of left their window of opportunity where it's appropriate. That's my take. Would you guys agree? Would you disagree?
I just love what we agreed upon is if you want to be all about it, be all about it, but in the park. Don't take it home with you.
I agree.
But so when you see us wake up and like our whole day, Saturday after Saturday, is dedicated to a football game, do you look on us with judgment? Because one time I was watching football in my bed. It wasn't Gator football. It was just random football. And And there was a real moment with Gabby and I where she's like, is it the way they throw the ball? Is it the way they tackle?
What
is it the way they run? Like, how can you watch this for hours?
What? Same question.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Contini used to, I'm sorry, Johnny Muscles used to actually bring this up to me a lot because, I would say, every game is different and, it's not the same thing every Saturday, even though essentially they're playing the same game, same, uniform, same amount of time. It's like, it's always the same, but I said it's different. Every different team has a different narrative behind the game. There's backstory, blah, blah, blah. To him, it's just kind of the same thing over and over. And then I actually countered him with the question because we were talking about shows like in theater, and he's saying he could watch the same show and experience it in many different ways. And I just didn't get that. So honestly, I think it's just showing
Each their own.
Yeah, people are wired very differently. But in this case, for Disney, it's different.
It's different.
It's
way
different.
It's in a different category.
Well, I appreciate you guys answering my follow-up questions.
Thanks
Absolutely.
for having
I've
that.
thoroughly
input.
enjoyed the pod the past few weeks. I've missed it.
I think
We
It's why
missed
we do
you.
the podcast, man.
For the gimmies
And the fellowship and the sponsors.
and sponsors. Can't forget them.
I think if anything, like talking about how Disney people are so unique and different, it does lead me to think about all the crazy experiences of people that we just encounter in South Florida, especially. And I know we've, all traveled around. But I'm curious, do you guys have like a story or an instance that you've just witnessed someone out of the ordinary, and even I would say, does that like really personify the city that they're in? Like, does a city have a higher concentration of crazy people? And not,
Yes.
and actually, you know what? I don't want to say crazy people. I just want to say like you've had more crazier experiences with people in certain cities.
Eccentric people.
Eccentric. That's
I wouldn't even
like that
call
word.
it that. I had a wild time when I got to New Orleans. Never been before.
Oh, yeah.
And it was absolutely insane. It made me not want to go back.
Wait, why?
Within 15 minutes of getting to the hot spot of New Orleans, right? What's it called?
Bourbon
Street, yes. So I'm blocking it out of my memory. I saw drug deals, a fight, people peeing, people pooping, people puking, the 3 Ps. Yeah.
P.
It was disgusting, and a whole lot of other things that just, it was gnarly. And I wanted to leave, and I was there the whole weekend.
Was
I
this
couldn't leave.
during Mardi Gras?
It was the week before, so maybe that was my mistake, but it just was like an overload of just craziness, and I was like, this has got to be the worst place ever. Sorry to those people who love New Orleans, but
Do you think Bourbon Street is like an
I
accurate
traveled
picture of
elsewhere.
New
Fair
Orleans?
representation
Right.
of New Orleans.
yeah, but I also traveled like a little bit outside of, downtown New Orleans, and it was it just wasn't fun. It
Eccentric?
just wasn't good. Yeah. So I would say New Orleans is, I don't know the rest about Louisiana, but New Orleans is not a place I would really like to attend again.
What about you, Johnny Muscles?
Yeah, I think I've had my fair run-in with eccentric people in New York City, actually. I love New York City. New York City is probably my favorite place in America. And my sister actually lives there, and she sent me a text not too long ago of this woman that she had an encounter with on the subway. And I don't know what had happened in this lady's past or what she was going through during that day, but Mary was telling me that she was sitting on the subway, and all of a sudden she sees this woman stand up, take off her pants, and then start singing "I Believe I Can Fly."
Because
Good song though. I mean,
And
And-
fly she did.
Fly she did. And in fact, we actually have a recording of said lady.
I might be able to tap into that.
It's in the Gimme That podcast group chat.
it was quite legendary. I mean,
All right. pulling it
she
up
just
here
had other lyrics going too.
for the listeners. Let's see.
While you're pulling that up, has anyone seen the Instagram page Subway Creatures?
Oh yes.
No, I haven't.
Oh, phenomenal.
Okay, Subway.
account.
This is like all things New York Subway.
Yeah.
Subway Creatures Instagram handle. It's probably one of my favorite pastimes on Instagram. to
It
look
is a
at.
great.
It
account.
sounds like she deserves to be on that.
Yeah. Did you find it, Grant?
I wasn't seeing it actually.
Ooh.
You know,
Oh, here we go. All right. So here is the audio, and feel free to commentate if you need to.
and mind you, Mary said that this was just a random moment on the subway. She stood up, took off her
It's
pants.
probably normal. Mm.
Time out. Yeah. I gotta. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. She's throwing in some hallelujahs.
Hallelujahs.
I
and
like that.
everything, Yeah. And you know what? It's, on one hand, so rude because everyone else just has to endure. Like no one asked for this.
Yeah, but wouldn't you
performance.
be entertained by that?
You would be.
Maybe
You-
the pants down. I don't know.
Yeah, the
That-
pants.
I think
down.
I think that's the kicker for me.
She
Is
just
it?
needed to air him out, you know.
So
You're my best friend. Ooh.
I just love how the train conductor just
Wow.
is like, all right, this is the next
That was
stop.
amazing.
so New York filled with eccentric people.
Eccentric people. Yeah.
The thing to
Johnny,
me
you
about
got
New
one?
York also is that like the people on that subway probably weren't even phased.
No.
Like they just kind of sit there and they look ahead. And it's like, yep, this might as
it's
well.
normal.
This might as well happen.
I had a very fun encounter with someone in Miami. So my wife Gabby and I, we were on a walk, and we live pretty much in the city. So you know, as you drive, as you walk around, you see certain homeless people. And everyone has a story. You never know the person's background, and the majority of times it has been very. I think we can all agree it's very good experiences when you choose to, you know, talk to someone that you don't know or invest.
Right.
So we were on a walk on a random Sunday afternoon, going to get a sandwich. So we had 2 sandwiches. So my sweet wife, we see this lady, life insurance, right?
It's a State Farm ad.
State Farm.
Just for Pierce.
Here we go.
So we're on our way back from our walk with our sandwiches, about to go to our apartment and eat the sandwiches. And we see this lady that we have been driving past, and we're like, you know what? She has a story. We want to offer her a sandwich. And so Gabby goes up to her, super sweet. She's like, I don't mean to be too forward, but we have an extra sandwich. Here it is if you would like it. And the lady goes, oh, thank you so much, but I would actually never eat that. In fact, I don't eat bread. And Gabby goes, okay, I'm sorry, like we can get you something else if that's okay. She's like, no, I wouldn't like that. So Gabby goes, okay, well, what do you like? Like, what would you like in the future if we want? And she goes, well, what I would like to do right now is rip your head off and kill you.
Whoa.
But I'm not going to do that right now.
No chill.
Gabby just walked away.
I'm like 10 feet behind because, you know, I'm not going to be involved. And so but I hear that and I'm just like, whoa, out of left field.
What Gabs do?
Just walked away.
Gabs just goes, she's like, okay, thanks, have a nice day.
Sped away.
But we were shook. That has been the only, I don't want to paint people in Miami in a bad light. That's been the only experience we've had like that.
Yeah.
But it has also been my best experience.
That is awesome.
So I'm wanting to reach out to some gimmies and see who else wants to weigh in on this conversation? Who's the gimme that you guys want to hear their thoughts on this?
What I really want to know is which city has like per capita more crazy people, or which city has the craziest people.
So who's
Or
someone we
eccentric
know
people.
that's lived in, I guess, multiple cities?
Taiwo,
Devansh.
Devansh.
Ooh.
We could call both.
Give me that.
Yeah.
Let's give him a ring.
I'll give Devansh a ring. When's the last time you guys have talked to Devansh?
He
Besides-
actually laughed at my story of Mary doing her impersonation of Amanda Bynes and Josh Beck yesterday.
So can we all talk to him?
Yeah. So we're dialing in. He's gonna be so confused at why I'm calling him right now.
Wow, this is a neat feature.
Mr. Grohl.
Devansh, you're on the Gimme That podcast. Devansh!
What's up, guys?
We are live.
Are you actually?
You are included
You're
in the
being
podcast
called in.
today.
Oh my god.
What's up, man? How you doing? How you
Oh,
doing?
I'm doing well. How's everyone?
Phenomenal.
We're doing great. You know, we were talking about something and we wanted to get your take, but we missed you. And you're actually the first live guest on the Gimme That podcast over the phone.
How do you feel about that? Oh, cool. Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. Devansh, we were just talking about which city has the highest concentration of interesting / eccentric people based on your own experience. And we wanted to hear your take. We know you're a Jersey boy, and now the listeners do too. And but we know that you've kind of bounced around and you're well traveled, and so we wanted to hear maybe an interesting story that you have to share. Just for your knowledge, Johnny has talked about New York and has shared a story. Pierce has talked about New Orleans, and Johnny Jones just talked about Miami. I don't know if you'd like to chime in on one of those, or maybe a city or experience that you've had.
I mean, I definitely have stories for those that they mentioned, but let me see if I can think of a different one. Maybe there was one in Los Angeles.
Ooh.
I like that.
Yeah, talk about it.
I would throw it to Los Angeles. One person I met, his name was Alex. We were doing like a little hostel stay on my trip there. It was like 2 weeks going between LA, San Diego, and another city. I think it was Santa Barbara. When we were in LA, we were with this guy, Alex, and he was from Australia and big traveler. He was traveling on his own, trying to like figure himself out in the world. And we went on a little trip. I think it was like every night they did a different type of bar crawl. And they would do different types of like shots and stuff that you would try. And in Australia, in the part he's from, they try like these Nutella, Fireball, and something else mix of shots that he made. That night. That was like a really weird mix, but it turned out to taste really phenomenal. And we ended up having a few and went out and had a great time. And one thing he did on that night, we were talking about how much we all love to travel and like, you know, trying to see as much of the world as we can because it like creatively influences each of us. And one thing he gave me that I still have, and the goal is to give it back to him someday, is this book called The Art of Travel. So he like randomly passed that along and said like, you know, I got this from my sister when she was traveling, and she said to just keep giving it to people and maybe one day it'll make it back to him. So my goal is to continue passing along that book. And maybe it'll make its way back to him. But I just remember thinking like how creative that was of his sister to come up with that, and like a little connection between just one book between a lot of people.
Wow.
I gotta say that's very wholesome. And
It was,
And not at all crazy.
yeah. All of ours were a little bit. Johnny Jones talked about how a lady wanted to rip Gabby's head off.
Oh, okay. Where did Johnny
That was in Miami.
That was on a walk in Miami, Devansh.
Oh, I thought it was going to be something about showering. Johnny, like...
Whoa, Devansh, tell us more.
Please.
Yeah, Johnny, why don't you tell them about showering?
Listen, I think that's time for a different pod. And I have to credit David Foreman. Shout out David Foreman to that quote. Devansh, I want to know, so based on all your travels, because you are quite the traveler and you have quite the experiences. You've been to New York, you've been to Miami, you've been to LA. Which out of those three or another city, do you think has the most eccentric or crazy people?
Ooh.
Because they all have a lot of crazy people in them.
I think I could rank in terms of like how openly they are eccentric. I would probably say LA would be first in terms of openly eccentric. Like just walking down the streets, you would see people who are like openly, I guess for lack of a better word, crazy and eccentric. Miami would be second and New York would be third, only because I feel like New York probably has a really high density, but I feel like because it has so many places like Wall Street and such, they're a little more closeted and maybe in like other areas of the city than like openly as in like LA or Miami.
Interesting.
That's a very well thought out answer.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have maybe one instance that you were, like someone actually like made you feel like nervous with how, eccentric they were acting towards you? Like that interaction kind of like freaked you out almost?
Oh, damn.
Maybe on the subway.
I think sometimes, and I mean, it's not to their fault. I think it's just them expressing themselves. But like in New York, probably more than the other three, when you have I don't know, I guess a good term, but I'm sure there's a real term, but like the people who do their entertainment and their talents on subway rides, whether they're, playing an instrument or saying a poem or, whatever.
Yeah.
What?
Singing,
yeah. Their various talents. There was like 2 times actually in the same day, I guess because I rode the same subway, but 2 different people like kind of sharing their poems with the train, try to get like the passengers involved and like would repeatedly sit next to me and like other people in the train and try and get you to read part of their verses in the same like cadence that they were speaking so it wouldn't sound awkward, and then you feel entirely awkward because you're totally off pitch or off timing. And it was
did you participate?
I did participate, but it sounded like, terrible and atrocious because I didn't know what he wanted me to do. He just kept pointing at the words, and I was like, you're not even saying those words. Like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me to do here. So it was like really awkward because I didn't know what to do, and there was another one of his friends like filming the thing. So I was like, I don't know what's going on here.
I'm glad you gave it effort, though.
You really chimed in, Devansh.
Most people wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I didn't know what else to do because everyone's freaking staring. So.
All right, Devansh. Well, listen, man, we appreciate you taking the call. We miss you. We hope you're doing well, and we look forward to bringing you back on the Gimme That podcast in the future.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for including me. I'll keep in touch, and I miss you guys too.
Bye, Devansh.
Yeah, miss
All right,
you.
Devansh. See you, buddy.
Later.
What a great guy.
Great guy.
He's too nice. Honestly, I was looking for like. I kept trying to like egg it on. I was like, we need some crazy stuff. But honestly, he looks for like the best in people, and I love that.
That is
I love
true
He
to
that.
his
believes the
character.
best over assuming the worst.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out Devansh.
Shout
He's
out
also a
Devansh.
doctor.
Hey, this is a great time to remind you that the Gimme That podcast is brought to you by Henry and Ash Watches. Use promo code GimmeThat40 for 40% off your entire purchase. Remember, Gimme That podcast is brought to you by Tarpon River Brewing, Fort Lauderdale's best local craft brewery. I'm telling you, go in. All right. There's our sponsor.
So
ad.
hop on over to Tarpon River.
Hop on over. All right. So Johnny Muscles.
Yeah.
You were wanting to dive into something about people's interaction with their parents specifically during movies. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. Why don't you talk to us?
Thank you, Grant. Again, honored to be here, guys.
Just one.
So, growing up, I wasn't big into sports like you guys were. And actually, my dad and I, like, our thing to do was we would go to the movie theaters, and it was awesome. Like, I saw so many movies with my dad, and I remember getting popcorn. I remember getting Butterfinger and Raisinets, because that was like our candy, and we would just see all these movies. And I definitely saw movies that were too mature for me at a really young age, but that's okay because I got a good education by seeing a lot.
Would they just let you in the theater
With
because
my
you're
dad.
with your dad?
Yeah.
There was never pause?
No, there was never pause.
Parental guidance.
Yeah. And it got a little weird though, because seeing movies that you're not mature enough to see, you would see things that you didn't know if you were ready to see them or not.
Intimate moments?
Yeah, so there would be these intimate moments that would come on, and like the amount of times that I have been in the movie theaters and I'm just going to call it what it is, a sex scene has come on with my dad sitting right next to me.
How many times?
Too many to count.
Do you have like any specific movies that you can recall?
Yeah, is
that
there
this
one that,
happened?
like, really
just to like
traumatized
paint the
you?
picture.
I mean, we got like Titanic was one.
Okay,
And that's
that steamy car.
That's a steamy car. And then
How old were you like when you watched that with your dad?
I mean, I think the first time it was Braveheart, and there's a intimate moment in Braveheart, and I was probably about 8 years old.
Oh,
yeah.
Dad, what are they doing?
Well, and so
What was the reaction like?
well, and so then you just never really knew what the appropriate reaction was. So I didn't know if I was supposed to just watch, and like my dad was also supposed to watch. And then I could tell that my dad was kind of uncomfortable. So during those moments, he would whisper into my ear, and he had to be on, like, if he was on my left side, because I'm deaf in my left ear, he would have to like kind of reach over me to whisper into my right ear. And he would just be like, "Hey son, I just want to let you know, like, I'm so proud of you. I want you to know that like your dad loves you and everything."
Like, Dad, I'm trying to watch
Dad,
the movie.
yeah, no, I get it.
What
But,
a
like,
dad.
yeah.
What a dad.
Um,
Wow.
And so recently, we were watching a movie as a family, and a sex scene came on, and no one knew what to do. No one had any idea of like whether or not they should continue watching the movie.
This was all grown up now?
All grown up as adults, like in silence. We're just agreeing as a family to watch this moment, or do we take out our phone and just start
So what did you-
exploring on Instagram?
so what ended up happening?
So what ended up happening was I started watching my family members watching.
That's good entertainment.
That was so good.
Oh my
I'm just curious to know,
Was Obachama included in
have
this?
any of you guys experienced that with your family, where that moment came on, and did you know what to do? And if you did, what was it? Because I need to learn in case it comes again next time.
Or when you eventually have kids someday, God willing.
Yeah, God willing.
You got to know how to handle it. I don't know if you're going to go for the whisper in ear tactic.
Listen, son, I'm so proud. That is amazing.
So good.
I haven't really had a recent moment, like a grown-up moment with my parents like that. The only thing I remember growing up, though, is if we were watching something and something inappropriate came on, something intimate came on, they would just be so extra. It'd be like, and it would always be like they'd be able to fast forward.
Yeah.
So the moment it would come on, whoa. Just close your eyes. And then we'd fast forward.
I had a friend whose mom had a blanket, and so when the moment came, she would put the blanket over the
my
TV.
Over the TV. Wow.
I would think you just throw it like over the kids'
Yeah,
eyes.
That's what I thought was coming.
But then you couldn't necessarily control the volume because the sensor was blocked.
Oh.
So you were just listening.
I don't know what's worse.
Just the sensory
I don't know.
sensory overload.
That's too good.
Graham, what about you?
I mean, the only instances that really come to mind were my dad and I loved watching James Bond films. And if you know anything about James Bond, he's kind of a suave gentleman, and there's always a love interest. And they're always like these really, not like graphic, but very dramatic romance scenes. And I mean, we were just watching them for the action. Like, I think people still just watch them for the action. No one cares
Not
ever.
for the dramatic romance.
Not for the dramatic romance. I don't care how handsome you think Pierce Brosnan. Brosnan?
Yeah, Brosnan.
My dad always
Great
called him
name.
Bronson, so I always thought he was Pierce Bronson forever. Anyway,
Great first name though.
Sean Connery, what have you? I don't care how handsome you think they are. It's for the action. But he would always just fast forward through it. And I would be just happy because I'm like, yeah, like, let's get back to the action and the gadgets and all that stuff. But then there came a time where he was like, yeah, Grant, like, we should, like, oh, you got to watch, like, Wedding Crashers and, like, Animal House and stuff like that. And things just happened, and he kind of just, like, let it roll, but just dead silence. And because I think that would have been the moment to be like, have the talk maybe. Just be like, what do we think about this? You know? But it just never happened. It was just like, we're doing this.
So is that how you learned, I guess, what?
No,
The birds and the bees.
No, I think that's when he knew that I knew, because we just didn't say anything.
You just looked at each other.
There was no questions, because there was no like, Dad, what's going on? Like, there was,
Because you knew what was going
maybe that was his way of finding out.
Yeah. Like,
Which is-
because you didn't say, Dad, what is that? And
You also didn't say that, Johnny, to your dad
No, well, I think
as he's whispering into your ear.
The thing I love about Johnny's experiences is, if these were most of them, they were in the movie theater,
Where you
which
can't-
means, well, you didn't know if it was
Yeah.
his first time seeing the movie.
Exactly.
Then he has no idea what's coming. Like, a lot of these,
True.
my dad was like, he would know, and he would say, oh, there's some stuff coming up, but we could skip past it, whatever. But it was just all surprise factor for you.
it was.
Titanic, you're like, what's that steamy car?
What's she doing with her hands? I don't know.
Pierce, what about you?
I remember one instance, I think it was all of us as a family watching a movie at home, and a scene came on, and it ended up just being a blame game of who chose this movie, and everybody just like,
Oh.
my dad and mom are like, fast forward, why would you choose this? You chose that. You know, just like keep going, bickering back and forth. So by the time they finished arguing, the scene's already over. So you kind of just pass through it. But that's an instance I clearly remember.
All right, so here's our challenge: is the next time you're hanging out with your family, you find a movie that might have one.
and see what happens.
Just see what happens, you know, and see if it's just we're silent the whole time, or if it's a blame game, or if someone brings out the bed sheet.
And
Or
honestly,
whispers in your ear.
And honestly, if you have a funny experience, we would love for you to DM us, and we'll keep it totally anonymous. But would love to just kind of do a follow up on the next podcast, just see if anyone else has gone through this, because I feel like it's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It's a
It
common
is.
thing.
you got to go through it. All right, so we're getting close to ending the podcast here. We're running a little long on time, but I have a hot take to end, and I kind of already feel like I'm going to be outnumbered 3-1 on this, but curious to know if I have any supporters listening. Here we go. At a concert, is it wrong to go into seats that don't belong to you?
100%.
It's wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
It's wrong.
No chance. No chance at all.
Well,
No.
it's
Shot at the night.
shot at the night. Absolutely. Technically, yes.
Ethically, is it wrong?
If they're not being used,
Yeah, that's
no.
Okay, so let me give my piece on this, and let me just first understand. Everyone here doesn't see anything wrong with sneaking down.
I don't see. I will say too, if you knowingly are like taking someone else's seat that you have seen in those seats, that's kind of wrong.
I agree.
But that's hard to do, because like, unless they moved down, I guess.
But if you are presented the opportunity
All right.
to get amazing seats,
So I know I don't sound fun, but here's the deal. I grew up with a moral code.
You
okay?
did. You did.
And
You did karate.
I did karate. I had a karate body to prove it. Here's my thing. I do see that if the seats aren't being used, from the musician's perspective, even from just like a logic perspective, it seems like a waste to not have those seats be used. Like, you want everyone to get that experience. You know, even at concerts, if there's been empty seats, the band will say, why doesn't everyone just move forward? At some point in the concert, once it's kind of given that those seats are just going to be empty, you know, that's what they want. However, there's something about, if I paid like $20 for my seat, then I am saying I'm only willing to go see this person and spend $20. There are people that paid maybe $100 to have a much better seat. Now, if there's empty seats next to them, I feel bad that I paid $20, but I'm getting the $100 experience that they actually paid for, because they actually paid that much because they wanted to kind of go above and beyond. So I don't want to waste the $100 seat. However, I don't feel like I
Deserve it.
I
totally feel like I deserve it. No doubt.
What'd you do to deserve it?
I'm at your concert. I'm supporting you. So I deserve to be where I want to be.
So I do think that ticket prices can get way overpriced. And so the difference between like a $20 ticket and a $300 ticket isn't as crazy as they make that gap seem. So I get what you're saying. It doesn't sit well with me. And then also, the worst part about the entire experience is taking the chance to go sit in someone's seat and not knowing if someone's actually going to be there. I have horrible anxiety.
You really do.
I will multiple times.
I have no problem with it.
Johnny Muscles and I have gone, and I can't even enjoy the show, whether it's a comedy show or concert, because I'm looking over my shoulder. Any person walking, I'm like, they're going to come to our seat. They're going to ask us to move.
Not your seat.
They're going to come to their seat that I am in against my will. I've never on my own behalf gone into someone's seat. It's always been out of peer pressure.
If you really want to know how to get Grant to not have a good time, have him sneak into an area or a section that he did not pay for, and have him just enjoy the concert, because it's true. We've done that. How many times now?
I'd say it's maybe been 2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times.
But the Panic at the Disco concert was definitely the worst.
So it only happened one time.
Wasn't that the one time where it was like someone came to your seat multiple times?
The one time.
So we went to Panic at the Disco, and I will say this, I wasn't even going to go. Johnny wanted me to go so badly that he bought my ticket. So very nice. We go in, everyone was trying to just find, we're a big group, so we're trying to find different pockets. Like, everyone's like, all right, there's 3 seats there, 4 seats. So we kind of split off. Me and Johnny had one attempt. People came and took the seats. I was like, let's just go to the ones that we have. He's like, no, let's try again. We go to another spot. We sit there. And the concert's like almost starting at this point too. And I'm just on anxiety level 10. Like, I mean, we're just up there.
And we're in a good section.
Yeah, we're in a good section.
We're in a great section.
And then I'm like, oh, it's going to happen. And then people came, and then I was like, Johnny, like, you forced me to do this again. We're going to our seats. And I just like, and he's like, no, like, let's just try one more time. And I think I like yelled at him, and I was just like,
you did
no.
yell at me.
I was like, no, I'm going to like, we were like upper deck nosebleed, but I'm like, I'm just going. And then, but when every single person ended up getting kicked out, no one got to sneak, because we're seeing Panic at the Disco. It's like Panic at the Disco.
Let me
It's
ask
a
you a
big
question.
deal.
When those people came to their seats, were they really upset?
I mean, they weren't.
No,
happy.
they weren't upset.
Most of the time,
but
you
they weren't.
move and
they weren't
they're
happy.
fine.
I mean, they're like.
No, they were like, oh.
I mean, they're. I mean, there's a level of judgment whether they like respect the hustle or they're just like, come on, like, come.
I also think if you just comply with them and be like, oh, sorry, I'm in your seat, and you just move away, they have no problem. And then
There's not a good excuse. You
don't have to give them
like
looking at sorry, and then walk away.
Looking at your ticket, like what?
What is that? I read the section 300 wrong.
You know, and this also has happened to me at a movie theater where you prepay for like the seat in like the nice dine-in theaters. I went to see Bohemian Rhapsody, walk in the theater. We were a little late, and 2 people were sitting in me and Naomi's seats, and the theater was packed. And so I'm like, all right, well, I don't know if I just like go up and try these people or what do I do? And so I actually went and had to get like an attendant at the movie theater. He had to walk in, and as soon as he walked up to them, they like got up and walked out. And I was like, I don't know, they were in our seats, and just like,
I get that. I would be upset about that.
That's more like intimate. So I have a story of another concert, which is probably it's like the other end of the spectrum.
Shakira.
Which is when Gabby and I took Johnny to see Shakira for his birthday.
Because I love Shakira
Johnny loves Shakira
so much.
Gabby and I were like, what can we do for his? So we got him Shakira tickets. So the 3 of us went to a Shakira concert in the nosebleeds, and we identified probably a few rows of like empty seats. So we decided what would make it the easiest way to get in there, and it was if we bought food so our hands were full. She started.
I taught you this.
It is a good move. That's a great move.
As she started a new song, we would be essentially the 3 of us would be like, "Oh my goodness, this is our favorite song," and go in.
Honestly, that is pretty good.
But also the attendants, I feel like the people working there do not get paid enough to really chase after you. Like if you're like, you guys went down to like the floor level, right?
Exactly. So this is not the end of the story. We get into like the 100 levels now. And at the bottom of this is probably, what would you say, back right 100 level sections. At the bottom of the stairs on the floor, there's like a tiny stage. So we essentially were like, I think she's going to be there at some point. And so midway through the concert, all the lights go dark, and we see people going to that part of the stage. So we're like, we need to go there now. So we ran. They let us in, and we were literally like face to face with Shakira. Johnny touched Shakira.
I touched Shakira.
Wow.
And honestly,
she touched you.
she touched me.
I love that.
So
Amazing.
So I feel like that's the flip side. That's
right.
the best case.
That's right.
So
And
floor level, would you sneak into the floor level where there's 0 seats? It's just you're standing the whole time.
The thing is I just can't do it and enjoy it. That's just who I am. It's how I'm wired. I'll have to get that video to put up there to show Johnny, for the listeners, is just showing us a video reaction after touching of Shakira.
Amazing.
On the shoulder.
Here's
on the shoulder.
Here's the
just so
thing I
everyone
ask.
knows.
Would you be upset if you like try to sneak down all this stuff and you got caught by security and they said like, you're out of here, not even back to your seats, but you're just out of here because essentially you did something you weren't supposed to? Are you willing to take that level of risk and just miss out entirely to get something you didn't pay for?
Yes, because I think that they don't get paid enough to do that. I don't think they're going to be straight up just like...
But in theory, are you willing to accept it and not be like, oh, I'm so mad? Like, you're like, can you admit you're breaking a rule to a level?
Yes.
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay.
I'm willing to accept that I will get kicked out.
Don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, man. You know what it is? I think you guys also, it's a little bit about seeking the thrill of
I think it's because
down.
my dad took me to see sex scenes in movies when I was way too young. So because of that.
Whispered sweet nothings into your ear.
At the root of it, Grant, what it sounds like you're saying is you have a moral compass, but we don't have a moral compass.
At least when it comes to this.
Ouch.
That one hurt.
I mean, he even said it in the beginning. Ethically, there are issues. I am so curious to see the feedback of the Gimmes on this because, honestly, hearing myself, and I know it, I'm not the fun option. Honestly, if you want to go to a concert and do this, don't invite me. No. Like, don't invite me if you expect me to, like, follow. The thing is, if we go, like, I'll just stay and I'll enjoy the concert and like you guys go have fun. It's great. Do your thing. I'm going to enjoy it from my 300 level if that's what I'm paying for.
But I will say we went to one concert, The Killers, and you did make it down with us. You did enjoy the concert.
Eventually.
But you did. Like, all in all,
Yes,
after everything
well,
happened, you can now say, I enjoyed that concert.
So once it gets to the point where it's like, okay, there's no way someone's going to come and take this seat, I can enjoy it, but still, like, getting to that point, I'm like, the anxiety isn't worth it for me. And that just happened. So more power to you guys so you don't feel as, convicted as I do. But yeah.
I'm glad you have conviction.
Would you say on average, like taking a poll, that the majority of people would just sneak down?
Yes.
Well, we're gonna post it on Instagram. And
I think consequence free, everyone would do it, but with the risk.
And consequence being that you have to move the seat, not consequence being you get kicked out.
Right.
Yeah, I would say then the majority of people would say yes.
Because then you're also missing parts of the concert, going back to your old seat and all that stuff. So
It's true.
anyway, I just thought that was an interesting take. It's something that I clearly have passion about more than I even thought. And I want to know. And then once we have an idea, once we can actually attend concerts again, we'll just group off people that are afraid to take risks. And then all you guys, honestly though,
Confidence is key.
I respect the food favorite song hustle because that's a good
That is a good one.
that's a good con.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, this just tells me like I was raised in Michigan. That's
That's all it is.
that's the most
That's the most telling.
that's
thing
the most
about it.
Michigan thing about me. My mom would be so proud to hear this. Yeah. Shout out Shandy Stemra. Oh man. Any final notes before we sign off, guys? Oh, last thing. Gimme merch.
Yes.
I put out 2 options out there. We actually got some good feedback. The winner was the one that's a Gimme That podcast. It was multicolored. But the second option with Gimme stating it like as a noun and what it is, noun definition, whatever, that got some love too. And honestly, I put those together in about 3 minutes, and I was just wanting to get something out there. So one, thank you for the feedback. I'd love to know in the room here, what was everyone's favorite?
So I liked both. Both my wife and I preferred the Gimme Noun black shirt.
Okay.
I also like them both, but I prefer the Gimme Noun as well.
When thinking about it, I naturally gravitate towards the black Gimme Noun one.
Mm-hmm.
But then after really looking at the second option, I like the second option a lot.
Okay. I think the second option was always a little bit more of like, it has a little bit more of apparel and style to it. Whereas the first one, it almost seems more of like a brand awareness thing. Like a marketing campaign versus just like apparel. Like,
Well, if we have any listeners out there that are like graphic designers or something, we are open to
yeah, if you want to hit us with some
seeing your
designs.
designs.
Yeah, we'd love to see it for free.
nothing
We
set
would-
in stone yet for free. Because we're all about the sponsors here, so
Yes.
you would be sponsoring us.
Thank you again for listening to episode 5 of the Gimme That podcast. Once again, we are sponsored by Henry Nash Watches. Use promo code GimmeThat40. And remember, the best beer in Fort Lauderdale, you know where to find it, Tarpon River Brewing. Stop in, get some beer, get some food. They even do brunch, bottomless. So you know where you got to go. We'll see you next time, Gimmies.